Shalom Israel. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, for allowing me to do another lesson. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to the elect, whom the Lord have given ears to hear. Now, there's a lot going on today in the news from a mass shooting, not just of that guy, CK, the Kirk dude, but also, was it a few weeks back or whatever, there was a mass shooting in a Catholic school out there in Minneapolis. There was one, a few days back in Colorado. There was a scare in one of them states, Utah, Minneapolis, or Colorado. One of those states, I want to say more of the western states, where it was a mysterious package left under a News 12 van. So it's a lot of uncertainties today. But one thing's for certain, we know this place is not getting better. Right? And I'm here watching, I like checking her out from time to time. It's called A Homestead Journey, where she watches, as you see her videos, is always about life in America getting harder. All right? And every day for the past few weeks consecutively, right, she's been going into the squeeze these people are feeling. And the spirit in the air, this is a spirit of violence, right? It's a spirit of violence. And soon enough, in the midst of these mass casualties, these mass shootings, there's going to be war that breaks out. And I'm not even talking about, of course we know about World War III, but I'm talking about civil war. Right? Because, here it is. The people, are being strangled. I'm talking about financially. That's another thing that's going on. Housing, utilities, gas, everything is going up. All right. Taxes going up, everything's going up, and people are losing their jobs. So this is all just a powder keg for uncertainty. And like Gerald Celente says, when people find that they have nothing to lose, they lose it. And people are losing everything. They're losing their sanity. They're losing their hope in the American dream. Right? That if you just vote for this person or vote for that person, things will get better. Things are not getting better. And I don't even have to do the research to know that there are a lot of people don't trust in the American president. Right? So I want to play a little bit of this video where it says Americans are fed up and are at a breaking point. And this is fair use. This is just for educational purposes. Matter of fact, you can subscribe to her page. It's A Homestead Journey. All right, so let's get it.
I didn't know if I was going to come on today and make a video about this, but I've just been thinking a lot, and it's pretty heavy on my heart. Just everything that's going on right now in the nation, the continuous acts of violence that we keep seeing, and especially just the things that have been highlighted in the past couple days, from North Carolina to now in Utah, and it's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking, and
And one thing to note is that that dude that got murked last Wednesday out there in Utah, his campaign or his company's name was Turning Point USA. Right? And people are talking about the situation in North Carolina where the chick, got supposedly off by that one Jake. But people are making a huge emphasis on this guy, Charlie Kirk. Right? So I find it interesting. Like I said, his company's name was Turning Point USA. And how this place is just it's at a point where she's gonna mention that it's like a very dark, eerie feeling in the air.
At a time that we are just already so inundated with negativity and hurt, it's really bad. And I don't know if words can really describe the heaviness of the reality of everything that's going on. It's really, really, really heartbreaking. And there's just this constant stream of violence. You know, people are just so fed up. We are all so fed up. There's one thing after another. You can't even, start your day practically without hearing about the next catastrophe. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, between the shootings, the riots, assaults, I mean, unrest is basically dominating the headlines every single day. And people are just becoming numb, yet more fearful at the same time, because on one end, you get fatigued from always hearing about the next thing that happens. But then you also become fearful, because what other, I mean, look at the world that we're living in. Look at how bad things have gotten. When you have to worry about being in public places, at a public fair, at a public park, on public transportation, university campuses, schools. I mean, it's left and right. The grocery store, it's left and right, and it's horrible. I mean, normal life feels constantly disrupted by reports of danger, of harm, of heartbreak. And people really just feel unsafe in their communities. I know that I'm at unease a lot, when it comes to being in large public gatherings, or maybe even just, being by myself out in the public, because things are just, there's no words. And, it doesn't matter if you're in a big city or a small town these days. You never know just kind of what can happen. And
it's only going to get worse. Like the scriptures say, the day of the Lord is darkness and not light, as if a man did escape a bear just to be met by a snake. And at all aspects, at all points, over here in the States, is danger. She said it's not even a matter of living in a or commuting, whatever may have it, in a big, larger city, even in smaller cities. There's the scriptures say, let me grab that one. It says Isaiah 19:14. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have called Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Right? So this place is a place of uncertainty. All right, from day to day. Because I always bring this out. When you look at how the Lord is doing things, before it was, every few months, maybe once a year, there was a mass casualty or a mass shooting, and you kind of go on about your life. You plan for your next trip, you plan for your next holiday, and life is normal. But then as time went on, I'll say for the past 10 years or so, maybe I'll say 5-10 years or so, it's just been getting more frequent. right? And that's where it comes to the point of watching. Like Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, says, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. Right? Now, as we watch these things, we ought to know to be circumspect as we move to and fro, which we always have been, but even more so because the days are evil. Now, with that being said, she makes a lot of good points. But it was something else I also found. Let me just play a little bit more of her.
And, I don't want to sound like, just a Debbie Downer about it, but I mean, it's your reality. All summer long, there's been things that have just been going on in the nation. And then, a couple months ago, it was what happened in Arkansas with that young family that was walking through a park or the woods. And these are just a few handful of stories, right? It's one thing after another. And then obviously what just happened right now in Utah, it's baffling. It's baffling. You don't feel safe to send your kids to school. You don't feel safe to be in these public places. It really is an emotional toll on everybody. And the endless cycle of violence, it's wearing people down mentally, emotionally. People are more anxious, they're depressed, and a lot of people just feel hopeless.
And you know what? As I watch this, because as we always go into, and even the scriptures say, Jacob's trouble is the world trouble. Because we're going into Jacob's trouble, which as the beloved brother Kazak Ya'ala from the Mississippi camp, he says, Jacob's trouble is the curses on steroids. And amongst the curses, it speaks on how we will have a trembling of heart. Salakia, bear with me. Was Jacob, while we look for that, Jacob represents you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The Lord is going to come back and judge you for your wickedness. And as you are in the midst of all these other nations, your judgment is essentially their judgment. The scriptures say in 2 Ezra 8, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. So, alright, this is good as well, right? Deuteronomy 28:16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kin and the flocks of thy sheep. And when you go, even Yahweh Shai speaks on how there's going to be a famine, right? The scriptures say how that's 2 Ezra 16. Is that 2 Ezra 16? How pretty much the tillers of the ground shall mourn, something to that extent. Right, 2 Ezra 15 and 13. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail and with a fearful constellation. Right? And even farmers are feeling a crunch, with various droughts, wildfires, and things of that nature. Right? So this world is really feeling it. All right? The Lord is sharing the curses. Hey, the scriptures say, which is also goes to show you that, we almost out of here. And also goes to show you that Esau Edom is going to share in these punishments. Then the Lord is going to lift up off these punishments when he comes back off of us and put it on our enemies. But it's Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, verse 16, cursed shall thou be in the city and cursed shall thou be in the field. Now let me make this clear again. This is talking about you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right? For the longest time, you felt this. Right? No matter what so-called country you thought you had, when it came to the poverty-stricken areas, you inhabited it. Meanwhile, the nicer areas, the areas for tourists, that was for the other nations. That wasn't for you. That was... I digress, Slack you. If I'm going all over the place, just, speaking what comes to mind. But it says, cursed shalt thou be in the city and cursed shalt thou be in the field. All right? Like I said, predominantly this started off with Jake. But as we are in these last days, the world is feeling this too. It's not just Israel anymore. All right? You so-called white people, you so-called Arabs, you feeling it. All right? And it comes from, or it goes into, as the girl, the homestead journey, actually being cursed. You don't know if you're going to go somewhere and an attack happens. Right? It says, cursed shall be thy basket in thy store. You got inflation now. Tariffs, inflation, taxes being hiked, utilities being hiked. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kin and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. And again, that's what we're seeing. So let's play a little bit more here.
Anxious, they're depressed, and a lot of people just feel hopeless because you don't know what it's really going to take to change the trajectory that we seem to be on. And of course, there's a lot going on right now with deployments and cleanups of cities and things like that, but there's just something different going on. There always seems to be some kind of dramatic crime, some kind of dramatic violence that takes place, and it's just horrible. And of course, people just feel at a loss as well because we're also living in times where...
Hey, the earth is becoming a hood. All of America's becoming a hood. This is normally places where it was isolated events. All right, gang violence. That's nothing more than a terror attack. But now everybody, is subject to the curses. And this place, simply for its wickedness, is going to feel the wrath of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. I'm trying to find, as I mentioned earlier, pretty much there's a curse that speaks on how, we should suffer from a trembling of heart. Right, verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and filling of eyes and sorrow of mind. You know, like she just mentioned, that's what she's experiencing now. Now, she seems like a Israelite woman, you know, but I'm sure she's also, you know, speaking in general, for this is how others feel. As I mentioned, you know, this is what she does. She goes into the sentiment of pretty much how these other average everyday Americans, whether it be Esau or Edom, are feeling.
I've lost a lot of trust in media, in government, law enforcement. There's so much political divide. There's so much issues with failed policies. People feel a sense of betrayal, and that coupled with everything that's going on, let alone the crisis here in America and many other countries around the world with the cost of living, people are just breaking down. People are breaking down. Communities are breaking down. The violence and the fear is just creating division instead of unity. That's constant. And a lot of people just don't trust one another. I see that, you know, communities stop working together. All of that makes the problem worse. It makes the problems worse, you know.
Then now Yahweh Shah says, Satan be divided against Satan. How can his kingdom fall? I mean, how can his kingdom stand? Right? And all this is also written out in 2nd Ezra 15. Right? It says, woe to the world, as I mentioned before. Let's start at 13. Oh, 12. Perfect. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting in hell and with a fearful constellation. And you got to think about it. This also adds to the pain because, you know, food is also used. Well, I'll say this also adds to the pain because this takes away the festivities. You know, what's a festivity without food? Right? So these Thanksgivings and these Christmases, you know, they're going to be very... The table not going to have as much as it used to. You know? Which means... it also goes to show you, or also means that the food is going to be a lot more expensive. You know, because when you have less supply and more in the same demand, which is a lot, then that means that prices are going to go up. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. We have yet to see that, but it's only a matter of time. I mean, look across the world. There's always a mass infighting or, you know, violent protests due to the fact of the people feeling like the government is fucking them over. All right? And this guy, I check him out from time to time. This is John Williams, where he says energy bills skyrocket.
Something. Has your electric bill suddenly felt like a second mortgage? Because you're not alone. People across America are opening up bills to find a $4, $5, $6, or even $700 monthly balance for their energy usage.
Electricity bills have increased almost 10% since the start of the year and could rise another $170 per year for households by 2035.
And this is not just a fluke. This is
right. So, you know, this devil is suffocating people. And it's only a matter of time, you know, that they're gonna fight back. You're being pushed in the corner. What else would you do? Especially for these people, you know, because they trust in this place. You know? These people trust in this place. You know, you got your 401k. You got investments. You know? And it's the worst is yet to come. It's not even wintertime yet. So imagine when that happens. Gas, electric. Well, as he mentioned, you know, Esau's also pushing laws now, you know, for hot water heaters and various gas and electrical services, such as like your electric panel and stuff like that, to be updated. You know? But who the fuck can afford that? So the crunch is here. It's not coming. It's already here. And, hey, call loyalty Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because like the scriptures say, the pride of this place got to be put down. These people are proud and they wicked as all hell. Oh man, look, this is the spirit. I'm not even holding you. Look, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power. Esau understands that. That's why Trump is pushing the National Guard. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Because of martial law. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. Right? These people are not going to stand for all the nonsense that's happening. These people are not with this NWO. And guess what? According to Revelation 13 and 15, he's going to have to kill you. If you're not with it, he's going to kill you. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. There will be unrest over here, just like it is in the rest of the world. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, right? But shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread. And I could definitely see the government, you know, stopping food from coming in. Or people just robbing and looting. And it's the haves versus the have-nots. Right? As we read now, I mean, that's definitely going to happen because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Right? So it's coming.
$170 per year for households by 2035.
And this is not just a fluke. This is happening everywhere. My dad lives in a tiny duplex. Nothing fancy, not a McMansion. Just a modest, everyday place. He's always lived below his means, and he's had this duplex forever. And yet, last month, his energy bill for that duplex, it's 700 square feet per unit, so 1,400 square feet in total, $1,125. If he had a mortgage on top of that, and you add in taxes, you're probably talking $3,000, maybe $4,000 a month for an everyday duplex in New Jersey. And the thing is, he's not unique. Millions of families across America wholesale energy, what utility companies pay for energy before they sell it to you, like more than 70% at one point. And those costs always trickle down to the consumer. Policy changes made things even messier. Rollbacks on clean energy killed nearly 64,000 jobs and scared off nearly $33 billion in investments. That slowed down the varying projects like solar and wind farms that could have played a small role in cushioning some of these utility bill increases. And it's not over. The U.S. Energy Information Administration predicts household energy bills could increase from 17 cents a kilowatt hour to 18 cents a kilowatt hour by next year. Another roughly 5.9% increase. That means if you thought summer was bad, things are going to get worse. And that's before we even talk about the new kid on the block, AI, and data centers quietly driving demand behind the scenes. They can triple their share of U.S. electricity usage by the end of the decade. But that's not the only reason for your bill climbing. Fuel costs, they matter also. When natural gas prices spiked after the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, utilities had no choice but to pass those costs on to us. Even as fuel prices cooled off, the hikes stuck. Then there's the grid itself. Utility companies are spending billions to harden their infrastructure, mainly against wildfires, storms, and heat waves. Every new line, every new storm recovery fund lands into your bill. And clean energy, instead of lowering cost, the investments itself actually dropped. More than 30 billion in projects halted and 64,000 jobs completely vanished because of policy rollbacks. That lowered the transition to cheaper renewables, leaving the US more exposed to fossil fuel price increases. Think of your bill as a receipt for everything happening right now in the energy world. Global fuel shocks, an aging grid, stalled clean energy, and now a tidal wave of demand for electricity, thanks to AI and data centers. Put it all together, and that's why your utility bill feels like it just went nuclear overnight. Now here's the thing, not every state got hit the same way. Some states are feeling the pain like never before.
Right, so I mean, I'm gonna leave it there. Like I say, you could check these channels out. Pretty informative. But all we gotta do is watch and pray. You know, watch and pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushai that He help us to get through it. Because we're gonna feel it as well. Right? But the Lord says, servants shall eat. Right? The Lord don't necessarily have to tell you how. Just know that when He says something, He does it. Hey, let me grab this one. This is for the hopeful elect. We got to remember this. Psalms 34:19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous. Right? Because we Israel. Right? And we in this world and we dealing with these curses. And these are things we got to, you know, as we have families, homes, and whatnot, we got to deal with this shit too. So it's in addition, all this extra pain, you know, to things we have to deal with spiritually, of course. But it says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yahweh delivereth him out of them all. With that, shalom to the elect.